Welcome to episode 6 of Journey to Sub 3. In this series, I've been taking you along on my journey to run a 2:59 marathon at CIM this fall. And it's been 10 days since CIM, so if you tracked me on race day or you follow me on Instagram, you know that I didn't hit my goal. I ran a 3:01:24, and it's been kind of a mix of emotions. I've never had this experience after a race where I feel both pride and disappointment. I've usually felt one or the other, and that has been challenging to work through. You know, since I ran a 3:07 marathon at Eugene in 2018, which was my previous PR, the idea of a sub 3-hour marathon was never something that I had thought about. And when I ran that race, it felt like it could become more of a reality for me. But I know so often when we get stuck on these time goals, it comes with sort of this undue pressure and can really become an obsession. And I experienced this when I was trying to train for a BQ, and I'm sure so many athletes experience this, whether you're trying to run a sub 4-hour marathon, a sub 2.5, a BQ, or even an OTQ. Like, this number on the clock can really take over and kind of ruin things for you in running. And sometimes it felt that way for me. It kind of took the fun out of things. I felt like I was running out of time, which there is nothing that I get after running a sub 3-hour marathon. There's no qualifying thing or anything like that I would get from running this, but it felt like a lot of pressure. And that changed a lot this training cycle, because I knew that if I didn't remove this idea of sub 3 or nothing, that I wouldn't enjoy the process. Aside from the fact that there are so many things that I worked on this cycle that really changed things for my running, the strength, the nutrition side of things, getting my blood work done and making sure that my biomarkers were in line with what I needed them to be, has changed everything for my running. And that has made it such a more enjoyable process for me. If you guys are interested in reading a recap of the race, like mile by mile, very detailed stuff, you can check out my blog. I did put a blog post together. I'll link that up in the description for you. But in this video, I'm really gonna talk about the race and how I feel about it. So going into the race, I had 3 goals. I always try to have an A, B, and C goal for race day, so that if I start to fall off of one goal, I can really focus on the other goals that I can still achieve, because there is so much that happens over 26.2 miles. So having a couple goals in place can keep you really present in the race and not have you completely fall apart. My A goal on paper was to get a PR, but in my mind, my A goal was to run a 2:59 or better. And I really should have aligned those a little bit better mentally and kind of what I put down on paper, because when the sub 3 started to slip away, I mentally fell apart. And that was my entire goal, was to be both mentally and physically strong to the end of this race. So A goal on paper was to get a PR, B goal was a 2:59, and C goal was to negative split and run a strong race. I feel like I ran a strong race even though I didn't negative split, but I didn't accomplish B or C really. So I did walk away with my primary goal though, and ran a 5-minute and 36-second PR. I felt great for 21 miles last Sunday. They were the strongest and fastest 21 miles I've ever run. I came through the half at 1:29:24, and seeing that, I felt really confident that I had run a smart first half. I felt like I hadn't gone out too fast. I had really stayed within my abilities and knew that I wasn't that far under the sub 3. At that point, I was really on track for it, but I was still hopeful that I could really kind of crush the second half. And my entire thing during the race was really trying to stay present in each mile and not think about what was laying ahead, because once you hit that 13.1 mile mark, it was like, well, I got to run 13.1 miles at that same exact pace or better. And that can be overwhelming. So I really tried to focus on, right now I'm in mile 13, I'm in mile 14, how do I feel? So really just being present in each mile, and I think that helped a lot. Things really started to fall apart for me around mile 20. I could tell that I was slowing down. I stopped looking at my watch around mile 21, because I knew that if I saw my pace start to fall off, I would mentally just crumble. So I really just focused on keep your pace, stay with this person. If you're running with this group, stay with this group. So I really focused on who was around me, staying in the race as much as I possibly could, and not worrying so much about where my pace was. The 3-hour pace group came up on me at mile 23, the end of 22, and they sort of surrounded me, and I thought, okay, this is good. I can just run with them and, you know, try to beat these pacers at the end because I know I'll have a kick. They were all feeling great and they kept going and I could not go with them. And I don't know if you've ever run with a pacer, but sometimes this is the most mentally defeating thing when your pace group that you want to run that time or a little faster than that time pulls away from you and your body physically cannot follow. That was pretty sad for me. And I think mentally at that point, I thought, it's over for me. I'm not going to get my goal. Why am I doing this? What is the point of even continuing on? And I tried to pull myself out of that a lot, but I could tell mentally I was fatigued. I was physically very tired. And that's the point where I think I need to work on both physically getting stronger for those last 5 miles and mentally getting stronger to push those negative thoughts out. I did a great job over the first 21 miles keeping those negative thoughts away, but something happened in those last 4 or 5 miles that really took over for me. You make this turn into the finish, and that's when you can see the clock. It's about 200 meters when you make that turn to the finish. And I saw the clock, and I knew I would get a PR, which felt okay, but it was also pretty heartbreaking to see that there was a 3 on the clock, which I knew there would be, obviously. The 3-hour pacers were in front of me. So I knew that was happening, but actually seeing it felt really hard. As soon as I crossed, I started to cry. I don't know if that's your normal reaction, but that is pretty much my standard reaction after a marathon. My body is ripped to shreds, my mind is exhausted, and I start crying. There's like no control. So I found my parents and my husband almost immediately, and the first thing out of my mouth was, I don't ever want to do this again.
What happened? You took off a little too early? When did you start cramping?
21.
21? At least it is. When you start like 14 or 15.
How do you know it's going? Red light. The 3-hour group came up on me at like 22. And I tried so hard to stay with them. And I was like, well, fuck it. I can't stay with them.
And that's happened to me a couple times after a marathon. It's so dramatic because you're just crumbling mentally, physically, and you can't imagine ever doing that again. The first thing I did was get my phone and text my coach and thank her for helping me get to this point to get this PR. And then I told her I needed to take some time away from the distance, which was very, very dramatic. But that's how I felt in the moment. I felt defeated. I felt like I can't keep chasing this goal if it's not going to happen for me. And granted, I've only been chasing it for a year and a half. And I know there are people who chase their big goals at different distances for years. And I'm not a quitter. So that's not how I actually felt. Although my coach probably thought I was going crazy. But I didn't have a lot of time to wallow in my sadness because I had 2 athletes who came in at 3:07 who got huge PRs. So very quickly after me, I had 5 minutes to myself to cry about this. And then I got to celebrate with them. And when I told them my time, they were so happy for me. And that made me feel great. And it made me feel great that they had a great day. And that pulled me out of this whole, oh, woe is me, I'm never gonna hit this goal kind of mentality that I had when I had initially crossed the finish line. So that felt really good to have them there to celebrate with. And aside from that, I had lots of messages and texts from people telling me how happy they were for me, how proud they were of me, how excited they were that I got that much closer to my goal. And that made me feel amazing. That's something that I really love about doing this and sharing this stuff with you guys, is that to have that support is so meaningful to me. So I cannot thank you guys enough for doing that. It's really an honor that you guys are that invested in my journey. When I look back at this race, I know I'm a stronger runner. I know I'm a smarter runner and racer. I can't look back at this season as a failure in any way, shape, or form. The fact that I was able to walk away with a huge half marathon PR and a huge marathon PR means that I did a lot of things right. And now I just need to figure out how to get a little bit stronger mentally and physically so that I can conquer those last 5 miles of the marathon. So while this is the final episode in this season of the series, I have no races planned for 2020. You know, I didn't want to sign up for anything or have any backup races because I really wanted to be focused on these races. And that helped me so much to be more present in my training and what I was trying to achieve. And I am not quite sure yet when I want to take another crack at the marathon distance. Like I said, I have nothing on the calendar. I have toiled with maybe focusing on shorter distances, getting stronger at that, and then potentially coming back to the marathon distance a little bit later in the year. So lots of different options for me, and I don't know what to do yet, but I will definitely take you guys along on that journey. But in the interim, if there is anything that you are interested in knowing or learning on my channel, let me know. Anything related to training, nutrition, running, anything. You know, feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you want to see. But I really can't thank you guys enough for your support along the way. It has been really so meaningful, and I'm excited to continue on this journey. So thanks for watching.